Are you mentally ill? Do you suffer from delusions or hallucinations? Perhaps you hear voices in your head, or the voices that you might hear in your head you ascribe personalities, like perhaps being God. Let's take a look at what a moron and a crazy person think and say publicly.
David Berkowitz, indicted for murder, also known as Son of Sam, also known as the .44 caliber killer, was arraigned today. He pleaded not guilty. His lawyer said if he is brought to trial, he will use insanity as a defense.
Here's an actual comment by an idiot who happens to be completely psychotic as well. Just get a load of this. Let's take the first remark. You don't have to be in church to talk to God. No, you can be quite crazy anywhere. This person says, I do it all the time. So they're crazy all of the time and everywhere they go. Now we'll take the next phrase. If you clear your mind, you can hear him talk to you as well. Of course, nobody talks to God, and those who claim that they do talk to him are considered insane and are insane. And those who say that he talks back are critically insane and need to be under close watch and observation by a team of authorized psychiatrists who can keep the individual sedated as well as secured so they don't mingle with the public and cause possible harm to themselves or others. These people are seriously and critically insane. Now let's tackle the next phrase, which comes out of the Psychotics Manual. Most people don't realize that oftentimes when a thought pops into their head out of the blue, it was God speaking to them. So when you suddenly have an inspiration to have chocolate ice cream, it was God who made the recommendation, or had the appetite for it. And likewise, when the criminally insane decide to murder, or rob a bank, or commit any such atrocities or crimes, it was God telling them to do that. They just weren't aware of it. Kind of like David Berkowitz, the murderer, who said his neighbor's dog made him murder all the innocent people that he shot to death. And the same way that a Christian justifies murdering an abortion doctor. According to Berkowitz, Harvey was a demon dog, and when that dog barked, it had meaning. Harvey, Berkowitz said, was barking out orders, telling him to murder young women. But it wasn't the dog telling Berkowitz to murder, it was just God. Much in the way that our friend, the psychotic, says that it hears God daily, talks back to him, and has an ongoing relationship, which, in its opinion, can even make decisions for him by planting thoughts. As we see in the lunatic's own words, it says, most people don't realize that oftentimes when a thought pops into their head out of the blue, it was God speaking to them.
Now, Attorney Heller said Berkowitz pleaded not guilty. He added that insanity would be raised as a defense.
And here we have a recent contribution from today by the same lunatic that, by comparison, it's apparent that David Berkowitz would make a better babysitter than this lunatic. The first sentence says, my Bible and I will be church tonight, attending a Christian concert. At the concert, the Christian will have himself a wafer and some wine, and the Bible will have some wafer and wine, and also a giant turkey. The Bible has an insatiable appetite.
Inside the courtroom, Berkowitz's actions continued to support some speculations that he was mentally unstable.
And here we see even more psychotic violence. The nature towards it is animalistic and creepy. Anyone who tries to take the Bible out of my hand had better give their soul to God, because their ass is grass, and I'll be the lawnmower. Laughing my ass off. That sounds like you would laugh if you were completely psychotic. deranged and very mentally ill. This is the part where Charles Manson gives it a thumbs up. And then finally we see a singular example of absolute mental illness and a creepy disposition towards violence that lets you know this person should be under watch by federal authorities. That goes for any one of the several Bibles I own. Praise God. Obviously, this person needs to be under the watchful eye of folks who can intervene to prevent the loss of life, considering the deranged nature of this creepy subject.
They brought Berkowitz in the back of the court. All of a sudden, he just went and he took 11 guards down to the floor with him and started to scream and go for the windows.
Let's take a look at this whole passage, because frankly it's quite disturbing. Anyone who tries to take the Bible out of my hand had better give their soul to God. That certainly sounds like some sort of threat, a violent one. And let's continue. Because their ass is grass, and I'll be the lawnmower. That sounds like this psychotic is saying that they'll inflict harm on someone who tries to remove the fictional dogma from their grip, as a child would grasp onto a small stuffed animal or a security blanket. This reeks of personal insecurities and a psychosis very deep that needs to be uprooted and treated with medication and lots of psychotherapy, perhaps decades of psychotherapy.
He was going to dive out the window, and that was a real attempt to dive out the window, which was thwarted. And he later explained to me that in his psychotic state that he expected if somehow he had been caught, that would be a proof to him of some kind about divine intervention.
Yes, divine intervention, like sane people noticing the odd behavior and reporting it, so that the individual is kept under a watchful eye by local and federal authorities as well as others. That way, this lunatic's psychotic instincts can be monitored very closely and watch for any anomalous events that might lead to the harm of other people. Psychotics of this type can burst loose at any time. He clutches his Bible and wants to harm anyone who might take it from him. So in the event that he's injured in an accident and a paramedic goes to remove it from his grip, this psychotic might react violently and injure the paramedic who's actually trying to help him. Psychotics like this need to be on a warning list so authorities can keep apprised of their movements. So if you know someone this psychotic, make sure that the authorities do too, and make sure that they know where they are at all times. That way they can be monitored very closely in case they blow a gasket or just go crazy, as they often do.